Hello, and welcome to the Glomy Games channel. Now, today I would just like to take an hour to just appreciate these graphs. These are quite beautiful, to say the least. As you can see, this is not just one graph, but there's actually 4 graphs here. And one of them is tracking the total online store sessions of September 2024 of Glomy Games. Pretty good, 211 online store sessions. Of course, half of them were me, but it's 105 other people took a look. Very nice. We got 3 total orders, which is pretty good for the first month, I would think. The total sales, oh, that's the second graph here. My bad, misread that. I'm sorry about that. Says to have $30 in sales. Now, it doesn't actually account for last month, August, where I did get, I believe, $15 from a sale of Warlock's Brew. And, no, sorry, I think I got $13 for that. And then I think also $12 for Stikeout. So that should actually look more like, quick math, $55. Now, that's not too bad. Of course, I did sell all 3 of those games at a loss. Again, I am sorry that the adverts, that my previous video has no longer accurate pricing, as I was selling at a loss at that time. So that's unfortunate. But of course, I only sold 3 things, so not too big of a deal. And then last graph down here is conversion rate. So this is what I assume is from online store sessions to actually buying. So the conversion rate is less than 1%, which I believe means that less than 1% of people who visit the site buy something. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but it might be, potentially. So why are we here again? I just want to take a look at a live feed of these wonderful 4 graphs. And you might be wondering, Will, how is this a live feed? How is this at all accurate if it's it's on a piece of paper? How could it be accurate? It's an active thing that's constantly changing. How would, a piece of paper be able to represent that? And to you, I say, no, believe me, this is accurate. So let's just take some time to admire these 4 graphs. Hopefully they're visible. Unfortunately, my printer is colorblind, and for some reason thinks black is green when I print with color. So that's just how it'll be. Oh, sorry. Almost forgot to silence my phone. Don't want that to start ringing in the middle of watching this beautiful graphs. Now, it may be 91 degrees Fahrenheit, 32.7 degrees Celsius outside, but as I am Gen Z, my attention span is in fact 0, so I must actively always have one of my senses overloaded, and in this case, that one sense will be my taste. Now, I don't know if the brand I just showed you means anything to you, but I do have my bowl in front of me, so I shall, dig in, per se, as we enjoy this serene moment. Now, I do happen to like spicy things, but my stomach is just not suited for it in many regards. My mom's side of the family has many ulcers in its history. My dad's side is just bad. Like for the longest time, I thought my mom's stomach was, like normal, but it isn't. The reason why I thought it was normal is because my dad's stomach was just that bad. So, of course, I have something to counteract that just a little bit. I have some milk here. I have 1 glass of milk. So hopefully that'll cancel out the spiciness a little bit. This isn't as spicy as I expected because I think I had the ×2 one before, and this isn't the ×2 one. But no, shouldn't matter too much. Anyways, gotta make sure my stomach doesn't get an ulcer. Yeah, the acidity from the milk, because milk is actually acidic, believe it or not, and the basicness of the capsaicin that makes up the spiciness, the main portion of spiciness in any given spicy thing. Like if you imagine peppers, if you imagine most spicy food, it'll be because of capsaicin. It'll be because it's basic. So whenever you eat something spicy, it's actually basic burns, not acidic burns. Though there are some spiciness that come from acidity. Excuse me. So another thing is that because the basicness of these spicy chemicals when they go into your stomach, they can mix with the acidic chemicals of your stomach acid, and it'll actually create water, and it'll create salt. That's a classic acid-base reaction. They'll neutralize each other, and that can actually sometimes make people gassy. So if you burp or fart while eating spicy food, yeah, that's normal, because that's just how the acid and bases react inside of your stomach. So in order to counteract the extra basicness from the spicy stuff, I of course have my 1 glass of milk. Put that right there so we can take a look at both. Actually, sort of relating to my previous point, I have to the side here some sour salt, which I intended to add to the spicy ramen should it be too spicy, but seems like it won't be needed. So sour salt, nothing to do with salt, it's just purely sour. No other flavors in there, it is just citric acid. So if you don't know what citric acid is, it's just what makes things sour. So that's your oranges, your limes, your lemons. They all have a lot of citric acid in them. You also have citric acid inside of yourself, inside of your mitochondria, your many mitochondria. In pretty much every cell of your body, you'll have mitochondria doing the Krebs cycle, producing ATP using citric acid. So, citric acid makes things sour and also runs your body. Very interesting. Looks like we're all out of milk. But worry not, I do have some other drinks. I have some tea here. I do get tired, so hopefully this will not only mitigate that with its caffeine, but it'll also provide some sort of hydration for me. Whilst I continue to eat this spicy ramen. Okay, perhaps this can of tea isn't as hydrating as I thought. Luckily, I do have actually a glass of milk to hopefully help with this hydration endeavor. So, cheers. Fortunately, it does seem like I have run out of noodles. Now I just have the soup, which I do intend to finish, but the thing with the soup is that it is very basic. It is very spicy. So I might come to regret those words I had later on about it not being as spicy as the other one, but it's true, it isn't as spicy. But I think I will still regret saying those words, even though they're factually true. Gotta stay hydrated. You know, if you stare at the graphs long enough, it almost looks like they're about to move. But then you realize it's not actually four pieces of paper, it's actually one piece of paper. I know it's crazy I managed to print so much information on one piece of paper, but it almost looks like it's going to move. Almost, just almost. Well, no more milk is left. Now it's just the tea. and the soup. And of course, our 4 graphs over here. See, a neat little thing is that they actually compare the previous month's statistics, right? They compare the previous months and the current month. And it's interesting. You see, towards the end there is when my family got notified that I had started the company of sorts. Corporation, maybe. Don't know what it would actually be called, but when I started the brand, per se. That's right here. That's these guys down here. It's mostly that idea. It's right there. That's when that happened. Actually, this was from my friend, I believe, who ordered Warlock's Brew. Yeah. And I delivered it in person. But, yeah. There it is. That little spike there, big amount from all of my family and friends. But also, that's also around the time I was handing out business cards at my school. And maybe some random people, maybe some of my friends are included among those family members. Of course, some of those visits are, of course, me making sure the site's working. But it is quite impressive. Like almost 100 people in one day. Well, that's more like above 60. I think I'm having hallucinations. But it's still a lot. Still a lot of visits. It is like 91 degrees outside. I don't know if I've made that clear. And I'm also eating something spicy. I'm dying over here. Now you might be wondering, if I sold this one in person, why is it tracked on the Shopify app? Well, no, I didn't actually use point of sale, which they have. I sold that one in person. This is actually a test sale for the digital PDF downloads. Excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. Oh man, getting gassy. But these were test sales for the. I'm completely blanking. Oh, that's right. These are test sales for the print and plays. I have one up that's for free if you're interested in how those print and plays look. It's toward the top, which is perhaps something you might be interested in. It is free. You can just go there, purchase it, download it for free. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, you are buying the actual prints of the game. You're not getting anything different or anything less, but they do require a lot of ink. So because they are like the full arts and stuff of the game, so I was thinking in the future I might have to make a more ink-friendly PDF for you to download. One that's more ink efficient, black and white, and perhaps doesn't have any images or things of that sort. Just that it's easier to be printed, easier to be able to play with. I mean, that is the point of print and plays, right? If you want the actual game, then you would buy the actual game, or you could also just buy the print and play. And maybe if you have your own professional, able to print professionally, then perhaps you could just print it yourself as well, in that sort of manner. But generally, that's not going to be the case, right? So I might want to, in the future, create the black and white, simpler PDFs of print and plays. I could use the PDFs I used for the prototypes, but I don't know. I think I would have to at least clean it up. The prototypes do not look pretty at all. Not at all formatted, just straight up text on pieces of paper. But something like that might work. I'd have to see what seems acceptable. I'd probably also sell them for a lot cheaper. I don't know, maybe $1, maybe even half $1, perhaps. Not because there's no artwork, which is 99% of the effort is in the art. The other 1% is, the game design, which is the part which I find fun. The artwork is a little less fun for me, but it's all part of making the game. Now I am starting to feel my stomach warm up a bit. I do actually have a cup of milk to help. It's sort of at the bottom there, but I have a cup of milk to help with my stomach. So, yeah, just take a bit of that. Yeah. hopefully I don't run out of tea. It has only been half an hour, roughly, if I'm guessing correctly. But we are sort of low on supplies here. I've ran through all 3 of my glugs of milk and I'm about halfway through the tea. Though I do have a lot of soup in front of me, so hopefully that can keep me hydrated through these 91-degree weather, even though it's supposed to be fall. I really love that California weather rather than other places, but damn. Summer is 3 seasons long. And then we have 1 season for spring. So, fun times. A fun thing that I see about these graphs, the other ones are pretty nice, but this one down here, the fact that it's 0, 1, and 2, it really fills me with joy. I like how small the numbers are and how much it bends upwards, right? But that's not really the case because it's more like dots. I mean, the entire line graph is meant to be simultaneous dots back to back, but I mean, straight up, there's only 3 points on this graph. And you might be wondering where this is. Now, I actually think this was a different sale than what I was talking about before. These 2 are actually the test sales. So my bad on that. But these 2 were 2 test sales on the PDFs to make sure I could download them properly. The PDF downloads get sent through an email, so I had to make sure that worked. I don't know if it really does. It's a little iffy, but I think it should work. And of course, if it doesn't work for you, you can just email me. Email the info at glomygames.com or glomy@glomygames.com. Just email me about the problem. I'll just send you the file. I know whether or not you bought it or not because, it tells me. So if you bought it, you didn't get it, I'll just send it to you. For some reason, there's also a download limit of 5. If you want to download it more than 5 times, it might not allow you to for whatever reason. If that's the case, you can always just ask me as well. I don't think that's I think that's kind of weird that they have a 5 download limit. For some reason, that's the default on all the PDF prints, so I'd have to change it on each one unless I found a different way to do it. But yeah, if you have problems, then you can just email. I'll just send you the file. You already bought it, right? So no biggie. think I am going to retire these chopsticks. I will just start glugging the soup now. Well, there goes all of my hydration. Now we can focus solely on the graphs. The caffeine acts as a stimulant. The caffeine from the tea, of course, acts as a stimulant, which in theory should keep you awake. Oh man. Extra gassy after drinking the soup. But yeah, it should act as a stimulant to keep me awake. Though for some reason, it tends to make my family a little bit more sleepy. But in general, it should act as a stimulant. There is, of course, spiciness, which tends to also keep people awake for obvious reasons, pain. But I should be able to endure for the remaining 15, 20, 25 minutes. I forget how long. Well, some of you might be asking, Will, you're such a busy guy, aren't you? How do you find the time to do these things and interact with your community in such interesting ways? Well, it's all about time management, you see. I specifically dedicated not just an hour of my day, but 90 entire minutes to eating lunch and watching these four graphs. Of course, not many people have the opportunity to do such luxurious things, but it's really all about just finding the time in between all of the work and the play and learning and all the various things that one might do in a day, working out, showering. Just sit down, enjoy the moment. Maybe something good would be to have some tea. Tea always makes things a little bit more calm, more serene. Put that over here. The other tea. All right, I'm going to briefly look away from the graphs just to check what time it is. All right, 3:20. Okay, I think that's 45 minutes. So 15 more minutes. 15 more minutes to looking at this nice little graph. It's somewhat weird to think about that there was a first game to be made. Now, that might not be that weird. Of course, there's got to be like a first game to be made. Of course, outside of, the rough housing that, little tigers and pups and things of that sort do. A little bit of rough housing, a little bit of play to prepare them for the wild. But there's surely had to be one first game. Would it have been a strategy game? I don't think so. I don't know if that would have been easily communicated through simple language, the start of language. Or perhaps games came a lot later on when language was more fully developed, which I don't know if that's very true, but maybe that might be the case. I assume that, uh, there would be more physical games. I don't know if there would be things like soccer or basketball where you try and get a specific thing into a specific place. But that might have been some of the first games. But what's more interesting to me is that, as with pretty much all things, there is going to be one last game to ever be made. Uh, there's going to be one last of everything to be ever made, really. But, you know, given that it concerns uh, these graphs, there's going to be one last game to be made. Makes you wonder what could it be? One last game to be played as well. Is that game going to be something immense? Maybe perhaps it's not just a game, but a game of warfare. Real warfare, as they once called one of the many wars that displaced many, many people and killed many, many more. The Great Game. There are many different wars that are called, My Little War, or these little things, even though they mean so much to the people in them, they can too be treated as if they are games. Or perhaps the last game will be something very simple, like a coin flip. It could also bring up the question, is rock, paper, scissors a game that came up in different places all at the same time, or did they originate from the same place? Perhaps rock, paper, scissors was the first full-fledged game. And it is often the case that rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, and paper beats rock. Regardless of what culture you're from, that tends to be the case. And it seems to be very widespread. So perhaps rock, paper, scissors was one of the first games that even happened to be made before humans started traversing the world. Before we all went off in our own separate paths. We all had this one unifying game that we all knew how to play. Could be the case. There may be more games as well. Who knows? Yeah, that wasn't bound to last. Now, this may not have occurred to you, given how much of a genius I am, but I'm not actually that much of an expert in terms of marketing. I know that I am of the highest intellects in the world, 3,000 and a half IQ. But there are even some things that elude me, like how to market things well, how to make good art, and how to convince people to play test with you, uh, among many things that need to be done for the many things that I have to do. Oh, well, maybe not necessarily have to do. I have about like 8 or so games that I'm done with the designing of, but I have to do the artwork of, and each one is like, 100 or so artworks. I don't have to do the UI. Or I guess not UI, sorry. What would it be? The art design? No, what is it? It's not really user interface, not really UI. I guess graphic design. No, that's more of like a different thing. Well, whatever it is, still have to do that. Yeah, not really pressing things I have to do. Nothing like serious. All very minor things. I have to make more advertising videos, to make tutorial video on Cellular Powerhouse, which, by the way, it's $75, most expensive game there. Trust me, most of the other games are going to be $15, and I'm probably not going to make another like board game again, because $65 is, or sorry, $75 is super expensive. I don't think anyone's going to buy it. And guess what? Me selling it at $75, I'm making a loss, which is devastating. Um, $75 is a loss for me. So, yeah, that's not going on sale anytime soon, unless enough people want to express enough interest in it, and I get enough money to, well, like buy the copies for it. One of the nice things about factory made goods is that the more you order, the higher bulk you order it in, the cheaper it becomes. So if I am able to order like 100 or so cellular powerhouses, I might be able to like drop that price significantly. I don't know how much I'd be able to drop that price by, but it would be a pretty substantial amount, I believe. The issue is, of course, 100 copies of Cellular Powerhouse would cost 100 copies of Cellular Powerhouse. Not to mention the storage space, not to mention I'd have to get new boxes to ship them in, not to mention that I'd have to store them in the meantime. There's a lot. But yeah, hopefully with the smaller games at least, like Rogue on the High Seas, that's coming pretty soon. It should be, quite a quaint little game. Hopefully something that you guys enjoy. Something I'd like to do in the future is hire artists so I don't have to do the artwork. I'd prefer to just design the games, maybe do some art every now and again, but I'd prefer to just design the games. But man, art is expensive. That's the reason why I'm doing it myself. Now, why don't I use AI? Because I'd rather do it myself. I'd like to hire artists, but it's too expensive. But even if I did hire them, I'd still probably want to do it myself, which is a little bit of a catch-22. Even if I had the money, I'd still probably want to do it myself. But especially for like the bigger games, like Valor Seeker with 200 plus cards, or Windfall, which I'm working on right now, which is also going to have like, let me see, a rough estimate. Yeah, hundreds of cards. Oh my goodness. I definitely would want to hire someone to do it for me. But I think the average rates, at least for Magic the Gathering cards, I think they pay about, if I remember correctly, something like $500 per artwork. That might be completely wrong. It might be something more like $200 per artwork. I have no clue. I actually totally forget. But it is a lot of money. Even if I were to pay someone $10 per artwork, that would be far too expensive. And it might not be the best of arts, because obviously I'm only paying them $10. Like, why would they want to try hard? Like, I wouldn't want to try hard either. But you know, it's how it is. The alternative is, of course, to get a publisher. Publishers would, manage these graphs for me, these 4 graphs here. They would also produce nicer looking artworks. They would do a lot more to, make it successful. A lot more success in that sort of regard. But I don't know. I don't feel like really selling these ideas to big companies. But maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea, especially for some of the bigger games. Like I was saying, these board games, these like big board games, are really expensive. I have Through the Pits, I have Starfall Corporation, and I have, and I also have Devil's Hold. These 3 games, I think, have a lot of potential, but of course, they require a lot of artwork and are hella expensive. Super expensive. Oh my lord. But yeah, hopefully one day I'll be able to manage it myself, and I'll be able to make those games become a reality. But in the meantime, just taking a look here, I think that the hour is almost up. So thank you all for watching, and have a good time.